Okay, these are the notes for Chapter 4, Literal Equations. I'm going to go through this here and explain as I move. I'm not sure how familiar you are with this. If you look at the example I gave, and I gave an equation that I know you're familiar with to the right, and I'm trying to show you that really we're not doing anything different just because there's two variables. So the directions will say solve the literal equation for x. Okay, so you should know those directions. And what those directions mean is to get x all alone on one side of the equal sign. So this is the problem we would have. And what I'm going to do is kind of one of our ways we talked about in the week of inspirational math is to try an easier problem. So I'm going to try, how would I do x plus 3 equals 5? Well, to do that, you would subtract 3 from both sides. And you'll see I didn't simplify it. There's a reason for that. And then after that, I had 5 minus 3. And then that gives me x equals 2. Well, I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm trying to get x by itself. So the first thing I'm going to do is subtract 3y from both sides. And I get 5 minus 3y. You can see the similarities. But I can't combine 5 and 3y, so this right here is my final answer. Depending on what we're solving for, it's nice to be able to solve different equations for different variables, and you'll definitely see that in our next unit as well. Okay, for the next example we did 4x minus 2y equals 10, and we're still solving for x. So what I did is I broke it down to an easier problem that I do know how to do, so if you weren't sure how to do it. So if I had this problem, which I know you guys know how to do, you would add 2 to both sides. That would give you 4x equals 10 plus 2. Then you would divide both sides by 4. 10 plus 2 is 12, and 12 divided by 4 is 3. So your answer is 3. And I know you maybe wouldn't do it quite with as many steps as I did, but I know you know how to do that. Now this problem is done exactly the same way. So when we had 4x minus 2, the very first thing you wanted to move was the negative 2. And that's where we're going to start here. So I'm going to start by adding 2y to both sides because this adds to be 0. That gives me 4x equals 10 plus 2y. Then I'm going to divide both sides by 4. You can kind of see how they're lining up here. Now, I have 10 plus 2y all over 4. X equals 10 plus 2y over 4. I can take this and divide it up into 10 over 4 plus 2y over 4. These two mean exactly the same thing. And then I can see 10 over 4 can be simplified to 5 over 2, and 2y over 4 can be simplified to y over 2. So my final answer would be x equals 5 over 2 plus y over 2, or I might see some people write equals the quantity 5 plus y all over 2. Now for the next 4 problems here, you have a choice. You can push pause now and try them yourself, or if you're still a little confused, Mrs. Murphy, I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to be doing, I'm going to keep explaining. So if you'd like to try on your own, push pause now. I love that you're willing to take a risk and make a mistake, and you can always come back and check later. Alright, so in this one I look x divided by y equals 6. And again, I'm solving the literal equation for x. I'm trying to get x by itself. Well, x is being divided by y. So I'm going to do the inverse operation, and I'm going to multiply both sides by y. Multiplication property of equality says that's okay. These y's divide to be 1, so I end up with x equals 6y. Now over here, this one tends to get a lot of people. They get really confused. You know, Mrs. Renfrey, the x is on the bottom. Well, no need to worry. If you don't like it there, we can solve that. So what I'm going to do first is multiply both sides by x. These x's divide to be 1. That leaves me 15a on the left side and 5x on the right side. So now, again, I'm trying to get x alone. So I'm going to divide both sides by 5. And I get 3a equals x. Over here, you can do this as 2 steps or as 1. Again, the x is what I'm trying to isolate. So you could, I see it's being multiplied by 7 and multiplied by y. I decided to divide both by 7 and y. So those will divide to be 1, and I'll be left with x. And then I'm dividing over here, so 14 divided by 7 will give me the 2 here, and the y divided by y is 1, so I get x equals 2a is my final answer. In the next one, again, I'm trying to get x alone, so I subtracted 6y from both sides. That got me to here. And then x is still being multiplied by 3, so I divided both sides by 3. And you can see kind of that step I did before. I put everything over 3, and some of you, I think the visual of taking each part and dividing it by 3 will help you to remember to divide both of them by 3. A common mistake I see is people will divide these two by 3, but not the 6, and you can't do that. All right, so here are 3 I'd really like you, no matter what, to try on your own. So if you could please push pause now, try these on your own, and then come back and check your answers. So I have the answers here. Over here you can see I subtracted 9 from both sides, and then I divided both sides by -5. This answer is fine, or I may have seen some people, these two mean the same thing. Basically, the difference between this one is I multiplied the top by -1, the bottom by -1. Both are right. I guess that should say x equals them. Over here I distributed the 3, then I distributed the 9. So that's this step right here. Then I subtracted 3x from both sides. That got me to here, so that I have the x's on one side of the equation. Then I added 18a to both sides. That got me to here, and then I divided both sides by 6. That's that. Over here, again, I'm looking at the x. Okay, b is being added with the x, so the inverse of that is subtraction. So I subtracted b from both sides, divided both sides by k, and this is my whole answer. All right, so you're going to want to check the announcement. There'll be some practice homework problems, but I hope this explained it a little better, since I know a lot of you struggled with this idea in the summer packet. Thank you.